Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and I have a lesson to share with you today. We're working through our physics main lesson block using this Waldorf curriculum by Live Education, and we're continuing our lessons with color and afterimage. So we've previously done a lesson on afterimage, and now we're going to continue this lesson activity on variegated colors to see the afterimages of those colors. I'm using a main lesson book that measures 9.5 inches by 12.5 inches. And we're going to use our Lyra color pencils to do these variegated colors. I'm going to start with green, and I'm going to choose a bunch of different variations of green and do bands of each of these colors. So I'm going to make a little chart for myself. I'm going to measure about 5 centimeters from the top, and I'm using my ruler as a guide so that I have a little bit of space on either side of my page. Then I'm going to measure about 3 centimeters for each color, and then I'm going to separate each of those bands with 1 centimeter. So I'm going to do that on one side of the page, and then I'm going to do that on the other side of the page, and that way we can have bands of color. So I'm going to label the sides with the colors of the rainbow, starting with green actually, so that it sort of matches the watercolor that we have on the other side of the page. And then I'm going to connect each of those lines. And now I have a chart to start my variegated colors. I'm starting with green, and I have a variety of different colors of greens, different shades of greens, mainly from the Lyra color pencil set, but there are a few other ones in here as well. And because I have so many, I'm making these pillars of color quite small. And this works well in some cases and not so well in other cases. I should say up front that this lesson didn't go quite as planned, because when we tried to do our after images, the idea of doing these various colors is great, but in practice, it didn't work so well. We could not see a lot of variation in the red tones that we would see as the complementary color to green. And the bands are too long with your eyes. You can't really stay focused on the entire band of color. So the thinner pillars are great if you're going to say look at 5 different colors and your eyes can scan over just that small bit. But at the same time, it's better if they're larger so that you can see the variation, the subtle variation in the shades a little bit better. We moved on to yellow, and yellow was so difficult to do. It's really hard to get shades in yellow and intensities in yellow. So I have a little bit of brown and a tiny bit of orange kind of mixed in there. And I realized for this lesson that probably 4 colors would have been sufficient, and you could have done this on a much smaller piece of paper, or just used maybe half a column to get the lesson done. This ended up taking a long time to choose the colors and sort them out and color it in, and then it was a little bit disappointing in the end not to see the after images that we were hoping to see. Now, it could be because we used color pencils rather than another art medium. We might try to do this again with watercolors or acrylic paints to see if we can see some variation in our after images and in the complementary colors. But as it stands for this lesson, it was a meditative process to draw all of the colors, but it didn't achieve the lesson goals that we had intended. But it was still a great lesson nonetheless, and it did teach us to see the subtle differences in the colors that we were choosing, as well as paying attention to the after images and the colors produced in those after images as well. I hope that you enjoyed this look at our physics lesson. Don't forget to check out the blog post that accompanies this video for more information, tutorial videos, and links to the resources that I've used for this main lesson block. You can find that link to the blog post in the description box below. And if you'd like to see how we're homeschooling on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram and now on TikTok at Pepper and Pine.